Preview time, footy and frothies, Barney and Daggy with you to get stuck into round 7 of the National Rugby League competition. Hello to everyone watching on YouTube, including Lee, who got stuck into us for me forgetting to put up the preview show last week. I'll be honest, with Easter coming up, it got away from me a bit there, but it won't happen again. It's up there now if you're watching it, so you know that. We're also on Spotify. If you
didn't even know.
No one else did either, apparently. So anyway, it was on Spotify. And it will always be on Spotify, so you can subscribe.
I always listen to Spotify. That's probably why I didn't notice.
TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, anywhere at least mediocre podcasts are found, you'll find us. And as I said, as well as YouTube. So. Subscribe, leave us some feedback, get involved. We're on socials as well. Ask us some questions. Ask us what we think of some of the players we bag each and every week. So anyway, we've got to get stuck into a pretty good round of footy this week. Just quickly, I'll touch on the PCTC tipping. Our good friends there. Who we got here? Leash T Hawks is leading on what is this? This is last round. Hang on a second. All right, that's better. Footy and Frothy's leaderboard. J-Dog's leading on 29 points. The overall leader, Brent, is on 31. The Beavers on 28. Defending champion, Jan 28. Ra 28 as well. And if we go all the way down the bottom to number 77 and 74, Barnabas is on 22 and Dagster's on 21. So if you still want to watch and stick around after that, we are coming last and third last. So anyway... We're going to still preview this nonetheless.
Get your pen out. Pen us.
Yeah, go against us. You'll be doing much better. So, we've got a pretty good round of footy coming up here. We kick off... anything else you need to talk about, Barn?
Not particularly.
Cool.
I can think of.
No, that's all right. We're going to kick off on Thursday night with the Dolphins hosting the Bunnies up at Suncorp Stadium. For the Dolphins, they welcome back Jesse Bromwich. After coming back with illness, Wallace is out with his Category 1, which sees JJ Collins come in to make his debut. The Robert Jennings comes back into the wing for Edric Lee, and SASE is back onto the bench with Bromwich coming in. For the Bunnies, they get back Jai Arrow, who's a big in. He'll play prop for them. In the absence of Totola, and we've got Tane Milne coming back in for Thompson. AJ comes back from his concussion as well. Barney, how are we starting this off? Good game. Crack one of the games around, actually.
Yeah, this is probably the toughest test both of these teams have really faced through the middle of the field, to be honest with you. And I just, I've got a feeling that Souths have learned something from last week, and that's to leave those really good attacking weapons until they're down into good ball and try to minimise their workload coming out of the back end of their field, and then have them light up the attack when they get close to the Dolphins line. And I've got a feeling that the Dolphins have been so tough for so long that the back end of this game may just blow out a fraction. I'm not saying that they'll be poor by any means. I just think that they might get a little bit tired after they get worked through the middle with the likes of Cook and Murray and Kulamatangi and all the ones we mentioned in the preview show. So I think Souths will be strong and probably a fraction too strong in the middle of the field for the Dolphins in this game, and they may just blow out to the Souths 13+. As I mentioned, I think Charles learned a lesson from last week, and I can see him getting really involved down the danger end against this Dolphins side and being man of the match. And I'm going to go with Keon Kulamatangi for the first try scorer.
My note said the same thing. Biggest test for the Dolphins middle. So they are looking forward to that clash. It's one of the matchups of the round, as I said. And Bromwich is timely return as well, as is Arrow to even up both stocks. Look, it is a concern when Ray Stone's named at prop for me. So I can see, as you said, that quick play the ball, the triple team of Burgess, Kulamatangi, and I'll throw Arrow into that, and Murray just rolling through that middle and really turning those Dolphins inside out. It may take 25 minutes, like you said, but I think the back end of this might open up and I can see sort of 12 late points, which may make it 13 plus. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I can see sort of around your 26-12, 26-14 sort of scoreline, but that we'll probably sit here next week and say that flattered South a little. First try scorer, not in reinventing the wheel. I'm going to stick with Campbell Graham, red hot in the conversation, and I would almost argue should be the New South Wales winger this year. And Latrell, man of the match, I agree. I think he's found his stride, he's happy medium, and if he does the same again here and he's allowed to, he will have, out of those 26 points, he'll be involved in 20 of them. Friday night, 6 p.m. game. They've been relegated, Barney, going that bad to 6 p.m. But this could either be anywhere from the game of the year or the lowest game of the year. And I'm interested to see which way it goes. Could be a complete car crash if they both turn up like they have been last week. The Roosters get Teddy back. I speak of Sharks hosting the Roosters at home. Points bet it's called these days. For the Roosters, Teddy's back and Joey Manu moves back to the centres, Hutchinson back to the bench, Turpin out of the 17, and Matt Lodge returns on the bench. As I mentioned in the review show, Crichton, Brown, Napa all in reserve grade this week, so interesting to see how quickly they try and fast track any of them. Wade Graham comes back from suspension, Kaufusi's back. They lose Rudolph and Finnegan to injury and suspension themselves. Royce Hunt starts now. Cameron McGuinness is going to start in that 13 spot. Jack Williams and Tom Hazelton complete the bench. A very big watch for both of us on Hazelton to see if he can get up and going as a first-grade prop. Finally, as I said, this could be anything. Two teams lacking cohesion so far this year. And I'm not quite sure which way to go here. I'm gonna tip Sharks 1-12, and I'm just thinking if they can hit their strides cleaner, they have a bit more cohesion along that back line, and there's a bit more trust attacking wise with your Katoas, Talakais, and Mulitalos. But as I said, nothing will shock. Man of the match, well, it's going to be Nico. Let's be honest. And first try scorer, Mulitalo. What are you thinking, Bun?
If I'm back in this game with somebody else's money, I'm telling them to put it on the Roosters. To be honest, the Sharks are 0-2 at the moment at home. I think they've only had and they've won 1 from 2 on the 2 from 3 on the road. So they haven't won a game at home yet. They do have enough points in them, but they're another team that's leaking 30 points a game. They're missing 2 big outs in the middle of the field in Finnegan and Toby Rudolph have probably been 2 of their strongest middlemen coming in to start this season. So they're going to have to start. They're going to have to play that really quick sort of tit for tat through the middle of the field, quick play the balls, and then try and spread it wide early. I can see them scoring 20 points, but I'm not sure how many they let in. So that's the biggest obstacle. As a Sharks fan, I'm tipping the Sharks 1-12, and I'm with you. If it's man of the match is always going to be Nico Hines, pretty much in this Sharks team because they rely on him so heavily to be the creator because the other half doesn't create a great deal. And their hottest player at the moment, apart from Nico Hines, has been Brenton Nikora, and I can see him laying down that charging line that he does in the back row for the Sharks and being the first try scorer. Through some defence there on the right edge.
Apparently, Roosters have beaten you the last 7 out of 7, so
exactly.
Glad that I threw my tip out
and
first.
We haven't won a game yet,
So anyway, we get to a bit more clarity. Friday night, we go to Four Pines Park where the Seagulls host the Storm. Ruben Garrick is out with Tuamalu Vega coming in on the wing. Lawton's out and Aaron Woods makes his debut for the club. Sipley comes onto the bench and Cooper Johns goes back to 5'8" with Schuster missing out again. Kao Weeks leaves the field as a result. Nick Meaney apparently had a delayed concussion, so he leaves. He's out. Munster goes to fullback. Pezza comes into the halves. Fayalongo into the extended bench. And there's some mail that Nelson may be training next week, whatever that means. Alrighty, so, a bit more clarity here. If Manly defend like they did last week and the loss of Garrick's not going to help that cause, this will be a stitch up out wide. Give it 15 minutes to get into the game, and Munster might just be chiming in wherever he wants at fullback. He'll be man of the match. He could well tear them apart. He's in absolutely outstanding form, as we've talked about plenty. Storm have won 6 of the last 7 against the Eagles as well, and I can't see this lineup unfortunately changing that. Munster man of the match, 13 plus Storm. First try scorer will be one of those wingers. Let's go with Coates.
Schuster's still pending a fitness test, from what I've heard, so don't be surprised if you see him come in and take Cooper John's spot at 6 if he passes a fitness test on, say, Thursday or Friday. I think Manly will be better. I think they will have received the wake-up call after their drubbing from Penrith. I still can't see them winning this game, but I think they'll get back to that, trying to be really aggressive in their defence in the middle of the field, which may be just enough to sort of upset the middle of the forward pack from the Melbourne Storm. I think they've still got way too many points in them out wide, especially with the defensive edges that Manly have been presenting for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I can see the Storm winning, but I think it may just be 1-12, and I think it may be off the back of Harry Grant. Down close to the line after sort of camping there for a little bit, throwing a short ball or that really nice cutout that he throws to the back row to barge over. And he may be the creator for a lot of points in this game. And I'm going to go with Olam as the first try scorer, I think. As you said, he seems to be warming up really nicely at the moment. And if he gets his full head of steam at one of these edges for this Manly side, he could just pretty much go over untouched or just take 3 of them with him as he goes over the lines.
You got me thinking about my bet, but I'll get to that later. Okay. Anything else? We'll move on. The Warriors host the Cowboys at Mount Smart. They have lost. They do have some big outs, though, with Tamari Martin and Egan both out. Walker and Lussick replaced them, respectively. Tohu is back, named at lock at the moment.
Last 3 weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, so hopefully he turns up. Bunty keeps the 10 for now. Tohu 13. Kosi and Montoya retain their wing spots. For the Cowboys, Nanai comes back in. They need him. Tuolangi comes back onto an edge as well for Brendan Elliott, which definitely doesn't hurt. Over at Mount Smart, Barn, what are you thinking here?
Absolute possible point in this game, realistically. The outs for the Warriors is probably the only reason that I'm thinking about. Actually, no, it's getting close to do or die for the Cowboys. So they're yet to put up a decent pretty much any match that they've played this year. So if it's not this week, when's it going to happen?
Yeah,
it comes to the point now where I think Todd Payton would have gone into the sheds after last week. Boys, why? What is going on here? We were one of the best teams last year. I don't know what to tell you. If you aren't going to take some ownership on what you're doing, then what do we get? We may as well just start fucking training for next year, because you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
I think they'll be on the back of a pretty heavy rev up in this game, and there's the Warriors are going to struggle for a bit of attack, I think, without Egan and Tamari Martin in the middle of the field. So it's going to rely a lot heavily on Sean Johnson, and he has had help this year. So I think going back to just being sort of him as the main man may cause a few issues for the Warriors unless they absolutely steamroll the middle of the Cowboys. But, I'm expecting an uptick in out of the Cowboys. They're not going to blow the Warriors off the field, and I think they may just sort of scrape through with a victory in this one. It'll come off the back of Robson. I think if they can if they can compete in the middle, Robson will sort of get in there and provide that running dummy half that the Warriors won't have in Egan, and you'll notice a massive difference between the two sides without a running dummy half. And I'm going to go Tuolangi on his return to score the first try out there for the Cowboys. He's been someone that they've really missed. Got a really nice competition.
Apparently, absolutely, yeah. I'm going to go with the home team at Mount Smart. I was thinking the same. I would have the Cowboys slightly on the in and out ledger, slightly more improved, obviously, as you touched on there. Tohu, though, maybe balances that out himself, but we do need to see something from Nanai this year as well. But I'm going to say it's going to be a bit of a grinder of a game, and they may well come out and I could see the edges of the Cowboys, like you say, Tuolangi scoring first, maybe scoring two, and then it'll develop into that grind. And I think at the back end, we need to see Cowboys close a game, and we just haven't seen it yet. Sean Johnson will be pulling the strings. As you've said, he's in the best form he's been in 5 years. Chance won't be far behind. And I'm going to go first try scorer Jackson Ford. He's having a great year and keeps racking them up. Did I say 1 to 12 for the record there? 1 to 12. Anyway, let's get to the poor old Knights who get to host the Panthers up at McDonald Jones. As we've touched on, they've lost Brayley, who's now replaced by Phoenix Crossland. Matt Croker is now the 13, Kurt Mann 14. Jack John keeps his bench spot. And we see... what happened to Gamble? Where'd he go? Thought he'd been in. Anyway, Jack Cogger to Penrith have the same team that they cracked out last week. Eisenhuth starting at prop. Sorensen, Hoskins, Yo, Lenu on the bench with Salmon Smith and Luke. Poor old Newcastle. They're just copying the wrong team at the wrong time here. Despite being at home and despite how they've been achieving, Penrith have hit their straps. I think Penrith will be far too strong. Even missing guys there. Oh, Gamble's playing 6. Don't know what I was looking at. I was looking at Crossland, has moved to 9. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think the forwards will match each other for a bit, but class will prevail here, and it'll be the old firm of Yo and Cleary that'll right the ship. Yeah, we'll go 13 plus. Out of the matches, Yo against a good forward pack, he can show his quality. First try scorer, he's been hot now, so we'll stick with the Bizzer. Brian Tuo out wide. What are you thinking?
Yeah, very much the same. I think the Knights will be in it for a fair part of it, to be honest. I think they've just got a few more points in them and a little bit more flair than a few of the other teams, and they may jag 1 or 2 tries early in this match before Penrith sort of really wake up to the way that they're going to play, the way they need to defend against the attack that's coming at them. Once that happens, I think maybe 20, 30 minutes into this game, I think Penrith will have all the answers. They'll start putting excess pressure on the likes of Gamble and Miller and try to cut out the ball before it even gets out wide. So you'll end up seeing Penrith rushing. I think they'll end up rushing the playmakers and rushing through the middle of the field with the likes of your Yos and Hoskins, Sorensen putting heaps of pressure on the playmakers for Newcastle. And that's where it ends up with Penrith kicking away. I don't think it'll be like 20 plus, but I dare say it'll be 13 plus by the end of the game. I'm going with Isaiah Yo too. I think he'll be the guy he'll do the dirty stuff in the middle of the field, but he'll also provide some really nice set-up passes to get the ball in the right position for players to score points. And I'm going to go with Crichton. I think it might just stop one pass short of Bizza this time, and Crichton will take it himself 5 over.
I think he's scored the first try in at least half the games this year, so it's not a bad shout. We head to Seabus for the 7:30 game. Titans hosting Brisbane. Titans have won their last 4 at Seabus. And generally these are quite entertaining games, even when Titans were going no good or vice versa.
They do get themselves up.
They've both turned up. They generally all turn up for this game. For the home team, Sexton is out. Kieran Foran comes back in. And Thomas McKaylee named on the bench. Be interested to see how much time he takes off the likes of Mo and Joe Stimson there. But apart from that, as per last week, Cruz Lemming keeps his bench. Didn't talk about him. What do you make of the 20 minutes or so he's on the field?
Didn't really notice him, to be honest.
Neither did I. That's why I didn't mention him.
I did not notice him one little bit, to be honest. There's a lot of pick up pass. I don't really think he made much of an impact at all. No. Service seemed okay. Ground.
For Brisbane, Flegler's still out from his HA. Jensen starts in the front row. Hetherington comes onto the bench. And the rest look as per what you'd expect and what they have been to date. Queensland clash. What are you doing, Barn?
I think the Broncos, again, another team that's going to cop a bit of a wake-up call after last week. They were nowhere near clinical enough, and that's why they ended up getting beaten through the middle of the field. I think they're going to take it personally. You're going to see the 1-2 combination come through your Carrigan and your Haas very early in this game. The Titans were good enough to get a win last week, but I'd be surprised if they're good enough to score double figures up against this Broncos team. I just can't see them being good enough to break open Brisbane and score more than 2 tries realistically. And we know Brisbane have got 4 or 5 tries in them against most teams in the competition, so this could be very, very one-sided by the end of the game. I'll give the Titans their dues and say that they're going to hang in for a big part of the game, but it'll be Broncos again, maybe 14 or 16 points at the end of the match. I think Reece Walsh, I know it's a night game again, but this ground seems to be one of the best grounds in the rugby league up at Seabus for fast-flowing football. And I think if he can keep his studs in the ground and not slip over every second time he touches the ball, he'll be man of the match in this game. And I'm going to go first try scorer, Payne Haas.
Okay.
Just a barge over off the dummy half, under the post or next to the post. You could probably swap Walsh and Haas first try and man of the match if you wanted to, but I'm going the other way around.
I'm going to, I do think Brisbane bounced back. I had the same thought as you, Ed, in that this will be close for 65 minutes, and I can see Brisbane just hitting their top gear as they've done most games this year in that last 15 and just cracking open to win 13 plus. First try scorer. I'm looking for big games here from Selwyn Cobbo. First try scorer of him out wide. We know that we get to see Camper up against a real powerhouse winger I can think of, and we also know historically what Sammy and Kelly bring to the table defensively. So some of the footwork of Staggs, Farnworth and Cobbo is on in this game, and I think that's where a lot of this point's going to come from. So for the record, Cobbo first try, and I'm going to... I can see us giving 3 points to Walsh, but for the sake of my tip, I think Carrigan would take it as personally as anyone, and it'll be his job. He'll be the one.
He's yet to have a dominant performance.
No, that's right.
And
I know he's a bit
2 or 3 times.
If we're and I treat him in that Yo and Murray mould where they just you don't notice them if they are doing their job, it's almost like they have to be above and beyond to do it. But
he hasn't. He hasn't had a dominant.
No, so I'm thinking the tag team is in action, and I'm just going to lean his way. But should be a good game. And what do we got Sunday? We've got the Raiders at 2:00, hosting the Dragons at GIO. Rapana's out, which sees Hopawate onto the wing. Croker keeps his spot. Kotrick is the other winger there. And Jack Whiten comes back to start at 5'8". All still the same apart from that. Molo and Ravalawa out for the Dragons, which sees Faine come onto the wing and Josh Kerr onto the bench. This is one of the most intriguing games of the round, and a big part of me was thinking about tipping the Dragons here, but I have to say if we get the effort from the Raiders we got last week at home, Whiten back, which shores up everything, and probably just tips a lead just slightly to the Raiders. But every answer be wanted to tip the Dragons all afternoon.
You watch the Dragons come out and win both.
I know, and I can't really tell you why, but I just have that feeling that we'll see bad Canberra and good St George, and I'll kick myself. But as it stands right now, on paper, what's the price? $1.60, $2.36. Yeah. On paper, I'm going to tip Canberra. I don't even know who's going to score first try because, geez, how are they going to do this? Man of the match, Jack Whiten. First try scorer, Jack Whiten. There you go.
I was almost going to do exactly the same thing, to be honest.
Because I gave much more... for some reason, I spent this afternoon thinking about the Dragons and thinking hopefully they get Sloan right. They've got more pace. Some of their backs have some more footwork. Surely could, embarrass Croker if we get, last year's Jared turn up. And they've got
Jack
Ben
Burke
Hunt.
Has set up 2 tries.
Yeah. So just to clarify my thoughts, when I said I've been thinking about it, that's why. At home, fingers crossed for Canberra.
I'm just going directly off the back of that. That's a character building performance of what they put up against Brisbane last week. They didn't deserve to win that game. at the end of the day, they deserved it, but they shouldn't have won
Yeah.
it. Brisbane had so many opportunities to put them away, and Canberra just kept turning up and doing their job. And if they can do that against a team in the Dragons that do struggle to score points at the best of times, unless Ben Hunt's getting himself well and truly involved and scoring one and setting up two, the Raiders could have enough in them. But again, the Raiders have struggled to score more than 20 points any game this year. The one time they did, they won. The rest of the time they've been beaten and they've scored 8 or 10 points for the majority of the year. So I'm with you, though. I think Whiten's the man. He'll be the key man coming back. He'll be buzzing around, trying to get involved. He'll be pretty disappointed in the fact that they lost last week. Tarpanay comes back in as well, which is a massive in the middle of the field against the Dragons team that don't have the strongest forward pack in the comp. They've probably got the weakest, realistically. Yep. And if the Raiders can hold and be probably, I expect them to be stronger than the Dragons through the middle of the field, and that should be just enough to let Jack Whiten be man of the match. And I'm going to go with Tomoka for the first try. He's been the one guy in this Canberra team that every game this year I've noticed him putting in effort upon effort upon effort. And you give him a decent enough ball in a one-on-one situation, I'll back him in the scores.
And we wrap up the day, or the round, with... and just for the record, the Tigers get 2 points. Yes. We've got Canberra, we just talked about that. Parramatta hosting the Bulldogs at CommBank. In my head, this is always a good game, but apparently Parramatta have won the last 6 or something. So yeah, but for some reason they always sit back in the day. They used to always have crackers.
Yeah, you're thinking like 2010.
Yeah, they just
2014.
Yeah, even when one of the other teams come in nowhere, they turn up. Yeah. But apparently, 6 of the last 7 has been won by Para, and I don't know if they've even beaten them at CommBank yet. Anyway, Paulo's back, which helps. No, which means Greg goes back to the bench and Murchie goes out of the team. Big blow with kick out, so we're just waiting to see who comes in. I'd suggest probably Tapine. Tavita Pengai is named prop for the first time. Fatala Mariner comes back as well, which they can desperately use. Their forward pack would look pretty good with Kikau in it, actually, because they've now got King, Pengai, it would have been Kikau, Preston, and Fatala Mariner. I imagine probably Sutton or Waddell might start in a second. I think he's been playing there. He probably starts in the second row. What are you thinking, Bar?
Yeah, I think Parramatta should be dominant through the middle of the field. Once that happens, the likes of Dylan Brown's get involved and Moses, their ball. Dylan Brown at his best is one of the best ball-playing halves in the competition, and Moses has got close to the best kicking game in the competition. So Parramatta, if they can match or dominate a middle against any opposition, they're in every game that they play. They've been, the results haven't gone their way this year, and they're, I think they're on 4 points at the moment. Yeah. I expect that to change, and I expect it to start with this game. I'm going to go with the Eels 13+. I think they will blow the Dogs away at the back end of this game. Like Madison, for me, since he's come back, has had a point to prove, and he's been close to the best player on the field every game he's been back. And back him in to be the man of the match in this game. And I'm going to go for Sean Russell to score the strike. And that left edge, we always saw he's got some good footwork, and he's strong enough. So I expect Dylan Brown to maybe decoy Sean Lane and hit Russell in behind him and score on that edge.
Beauty. Para, I think can't play as bad as he did last week. Otherwise, there'll be issues. I think it'll be an arm wrestle for the 15 to 20, and then it'll kick in on the back of that. Hopefully, a bit of class and footwork from Penasini, and even a bit of better performance from Russell. Sees points out wide. I'm going to say, though, that Mitch Moses is having quite a good, an outstanding season, really. Kicked Penrith to death, was a difference last week, and I can see him. Yeah, one thing we haven't seen this year is flat track bully Mitch, and I think we might see it this week. He might come in that last 20. He might just get his tail up and score a try himself off a chip and chase, and be putting blokes over left, right, and centre. So I'll give him man of the match. And first try scorer, I've just decided Sivo's just going to steamroll Braden Burns and score again to add to his
Be a
2
pretty good
last
shout.
week. But your talk of Russell isn't too far off the mark either. That's it. Yeah, that's the look through round 7. We've got punting disaster class to talk about. How did anyone go last week? You got one up, didn't you?
Give me 1 second, mate.
All right, bye. Yeah, how'd disaster class go?
Yes. I managed to sneak in a little anytime try scorer double weekend. So I had Latrell and Val in at $4.50. Had $15 on that. So results there. Yourself and Oliver dropped $50. Oliver's still a positive $335 from his upset bets there that he's put on. You're at minus 160, and I'm now positive $17.50 after 7 rounds of football.
Nice. All right, I am going to go with. I'm not. I was going to swing a bit harder, but I'm just going to try and play somewhere between a straight bat and just knocking one for a couple. I'm going to $20 on Sevo first try scorer at Combank. You can get in the vicinity of $7.50, 7-ish, somewhere around there, depending which corporate wants to start paying us to do this shit. And $30, I think those edges of Manly are in trouble. $30 on an all-up on both wingers, Coates and Warbrick anytime. Around $3.40, somewhere in that. Looks pretty good to me.
Good. I'm going to go with the head-to-head to start the weekend. First 4 games of footy. Rabbits, Sharks, Storm and Cowboys. All head-to-head. That'll get you $8.20. $30 on that. I'm going to go with another anytime try scorer double. I'm going to go back rowers this time. I'm going to go Hosking for Penrith. I'm going to go David Fafita from the Titans. Those two will get you $12.50. I have $15 on that. They're going to have $5 against you for first try scorer in the Parramatta game. I'm going to go Sean Russell at $17. $5 on him.
Cover them both. How can you lose? Alrighty. Who did I miss by last time? Colomatungi or someone? Who didn't score? I think it was Colomatungi.
You went crazy last time.
Yeah.
Manu didn't score.
Yeah.
Alex Johnson didn't play.
Right.
Dion didn't score. Did Gutho score?
Yeah, he did. Disregard.
Yeah, well, you got Hosking and Gutho.
Yes.
Anyway. Hosking didn't score either, did he?
Let's
he got
just say
1 from 5.
Alrighty. So anyway, disaster class. Listen to Barney and not me. What's got you frothing?
Friday, mate. Obviously, as a Sharks fan, I think those 2 games of football will be 2 of the better games that you're going to see on a Friday night. They're going to be back to back. You're either going to see a stellar performance from one side, being probably the Roosters and the Storm, and blow the other side on the field, or you're going to see some really tough, tight. All teams at their best have a lot of points in them, so it could be some very exciting come Friday night.
Yep, I'll trump you and go Thursday. I'm looking forward to the old Warhorse battle in the middle there. 2 grizzled old forward packs laying a platform. And Mark Nichols, the professor, clashing with his ex-mates there. I think there'll be a little bit in that to set the table for the weekend. So that should be good. But there's some nice, good old-fashioned forward pack battles throughout the whole weekend. Looking forward to seeing Motino and Fafita take on Brisbane, and obviously the other Friday night one as well. Sets a tasty platform. Thursday night footy's been good this year. It's been some of the best stuff. I've enjoyed it.
It's been very few poor games, to be honest.
That's true.
6 out of 8 every week. That's top-notch footy.
Pretty bloody good. And at least we haven't got any of the full car crash ones, even though I suppose that Dragons one was close. Any of the real car crash ones, we haven't had one yet.
Yeah, what was it? It was Dragons, Newcastle.
Canberra, not Canberra, Tigers, Newcastle.
Warriors.
Yeah, but we might get one
But
this
they've
week.
all lifted, pretty much every team this year has lifted this.
I think the standard across the board's better, even.
Much better.
I can't really, I wouldn't mind seeing my team win a couple, but.
How many times have you seen Newcastle and Warriors just out of hand put 2 or 3 decent games of footy together? That's for years.
No, that's right. So it's exciting. There's plenty to talk about as we now start building towards Magic Round and Origins. So in the next few weeks, we'll have the fun from Magic Round to discuss. We can't make it up this year, but we should do something fun. We might get together and do a barbecue or something. And
Good
just to
feed,
reminisce, a good
drinks.
feed and some drinks, and then Origin. We'll throw out some of our opinions on that in the next 4 or 5 weeks
Yeah,
as
this
well.
is a real crunch time over the next probably 3 to 4 weeks for teams that haven't started the season so well. It's pretty much put up or shut up for
and
a lot of teams in the
the exciting
competition.
thing is someone like a Canberra could put 3 together. All of a sudden, they're in that discussion.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
not much.
Newcastle put
If
back-to-back
Para
wins
drop
together.
this, you're nervous. If Cronulla,
Cowboys drop another one.
Cowboys drop
Two.
it, well,
Sharks, yeah.
yeah. So it is interesting. There's some teams on the precipice, one way or another. So looking forward to reviewing all of that next week. Anything else?
Nope.
Beauty.
Have a good evening.
Yep, catch you boys. I'll let Barney get to bed on time for once. I know he's super excited. We'll be back at the Grey Gums next week. I hope to do it all again. Subscribe on all the socials, all the feeds, and we'll talk soon. Catch you guys.